Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. Mishmash Monday. I hope you had a nice weekend. Hope it was a relaxing weekend. Spring is right around the corner. It feels so good. You could tell the days are getting longer, and also you could tell that the little sprouts are coming up. The leaves are starting to bud. It's really beautiful out. I could tell too because my mice are getting excited. I guess they know they're going to be released soon, and they're getting strong. You know, remember, all winter long they've been on a high protein diet, and they've been running on the wheel. So when they get released into the wild, they're going to be like they're going to dominate. They are like a super mice, and so I'm pretty excited about that. Today we got a nice little show planned. A good friend of the show, the Super Wrench Garage, Matt. He came, Emily and Liam, his children, and his wife came out to the Jacktown last year, and Matt sent me a box of some tools, things like that. But in the box, we'll get to that in the future. But right now, one of the things he sent was his grandfather's. This is Matt's grandfather's knife that he found in there, and it's an old marbles knife. And I want to see if we could do something with that. Something I felt like doing today. So let's get right to it. Now, I've been following Matt's channel for a couple of years now. This was actually the first. It's a magnetic sticker. It's on my toolbox over there. And this is the first one I ever received. But him and his daughter, his wife, and his son, Emily and Liam, his children, came down to the show last year. We had a great time. We met up with 357 Magdad and everybody, and you know, over in Jacktown and Bangor, Pennsylvania. Great time. So Matt sent a box of stuff, content for the show, but other things. And one of these things he put in there was, this was his grandfather's knife, which is going to be, he wants to pass it down to Liam, which is going to be Liam's great-grandfather. But they found this in a box, and it's an old marbles knife, you could see here. And you can see it's an old one. It's made from Gladstone, Michigan. Those are the old ones. But and now Matt does tool restorations himself, but you know, I wanted to, he just wanted me to get this cap off here because he knows I made a tool for that and it's already stuck. So what I wanted to do was, if we can get the cap off, hopefully, I'm kind of jumping the gun, but I just wanted to clean it up a little bit. See if we can't do this is a stacked leather handle. Never been a fan of these stacked leather handles. They look great, but you know, there's always an issue with them, just like wood and steel. You know, they look great, there's issues. But the problem with this one here is you can see here it's missing a couple pieces. We'll see if we can't make a makeshift handle just to send it back, whatever. But and then clean up the blade a little bit. And you can see the blade. Now, obviously, the profile, as it's been worn down from being used, this is what a blade is supposed to look like after years of use. Obviously, his grandfather knew how to sharpen because he sharpened and kept it nice. Sometimes you see it, you know, really curved, but we'll see if we can't clean this up a little bit and do a handle and get this the back of this off. Let's get started. Normally, every time I make a specialty tool, I do lose it, and for some reason, I just put this in the screwdriver drawer, and I was able to find it. So I made this the last time I tuned up mine, but you can see here, all it is, it's a little tool fitting here, and we're going to see if we can't unscrew this, but obviously it's been there for a while, so we're gonna try and put a little 50-50 lubricant, and then we're going to also see if we can maybe a little bit of heat. Okay, here's the problem. You see that that is peened over. The end of that that threaded part of the tang is peened over, so I can't get any grip. Even with the tool on here, I cannot get it. It's just tearing out the brass, and I know that Matt restores tools himself, so if he couldn't get it off, we knew it was going to be a little bit difficult than if it was just came to me new. But what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to drill down in that brass and try and get that out that way. Over here at the drill press, and you know, we're going to use this machinist vise from October 15th, 1942. Now, if you ever noticed why a machine vise is shaped the way it is, it's because you can use it like this, or you could flip it over on the side like that. That's why it's shaped the way it is. So, and that's going to come in real handy because we're going to put the knife in there. Okay, here's our setup. We have the vise turned on its side here, resting on the table. We swiveled the table over so that it will be underneath the drill here, and we have underneath here we have a little center finding drill, which is what we're going to use to start 2 holes on each side of the threaded part of the tank. Now that we have our 2 pilot holes drilled, we're going to use a drill bit and try and just skim that threaded part of the tang and get mostly the brass out. So we'll do that with the drill bit now. Okay, now that we've drilled 2 holes in each side all the way down, we got it back in Great Grandpa's vise, and we can try again with this tool. And now, because there's nothing really holding it, we should be able... There we go. There we go. See, now there's really nothing holding the threads there, so we can back this out and take a look at it. Now this is where we're really having fun down the shop. I mean, look at, when a job comes out a little bit rewarding, that you didn't have to, we didn't mangle up the cap. See, this cap is like a early type Bakelite plastic, and they're hard to come by. So we didn't mangle this up at all. It's perfect. All we did was mangle up this little brass nut. That's the only thing. And that's collateral damage, and that's no problem because we're going to take a piece of brass rod. We're going to drill a hole in the center, tap it, cut a slot in it, and we have a new nut. But let's get to this here. We're going to clean this up. The threads here, I believe these threads are 10/32. So we'll clean these up. We'll run a die over here and clean up the out and see what we want to do. And here are the leather stacks that if Matt ever wants to redo a leather handle, but see what we can put on here temporarily. Now we made the new nut. Everything came out real nice with this. This looks real good. And also, we made Matt another tool so that he can, if he ever wants to change or whatever. But what I want to do is I want to make a quick handle for it. And the reason is because if Liam's anything like me, you don't want to wait. And they sell these kits that you can make a handle out of. They send you new leather and things like that. And it's got the brass inserts. But it takes a couple times to get it perfect and in practice or whatever. But I bought this wood. You see this wood here? They came in, I guess they were about 4 foot lengths. And there was a place years ago. Look at the grain on here. And also look at the type. And I bought this about 25 years ago at a place in Long Island, and it was National Wholesale Liquidators, and they used to get all kinds of wooden stuff, and I don't know what this was. It was a real hard wood, and I bought it, so I'm going to take a slab of this. I think this would make a nice handle. We'll carve it down, and we'll drill a little oblong slot in here, and see if we can't make a nice handle. You know what's funny? A lot of people say, John, darn it, if I don't, every time I watch one of your videos, I got to buy something else because, and I'm the same way. I'll watch somebody with something, I say, I got to have one of those, And, I know with the wood lathe and everything, it's a little bit of an expensive purchase, but I have something here that, and being that we're on the topic of knives, you got to get one of these. You have to get one of these. So let's go check it out. Sometimes you just got to treat yourself to something good. And remember, I tell you, there's certain things you need to have. This is one of those things you need to have if you don't have one. This is what's known as a Mora knife. And it's called a Mora knife because they were made in Mora, Sweden. But there's different ones that are more common than others. But this brand here is a very popular name, and this is the one that usually when you know of Mora knives, this is the ones you think of. And this model is a model 511, but what's so great about this, the thing weighs less than 3 ounces. Can you imagine that? It's super lightweight. It's a high carbon steel. Now that's with the sheath, by the way, the weight. Comes with a nice heavy duty sheath. It's like a plastic sheath that don't retain water. It has a little weep hole for water, and it's a high carbon steel blade, which is, they can rust, but they also hold a good edge. That's what's nice about carbon. Look at what a beautiful blade that is, huh? And again, the price on this, if I tell you what this costs, it has a nice handle. And the reason I like the 511 is because it has this extended guard here. And I like that, especially when you're holding on to it. Your hands get sweaty. It doesn't slip. So I do like it. It's got the, you know, on both sides, and it's a beautiful knife. Now, I can tell you that this knife you can get shipped to your house for under $12. Under $12. You know, when you say, how can that be? Well, it's just because, you know, they mass produce these, and it's a wonderful knife. Now, I'm not saying this is like, I wouldn't, you know, want to have this as my only knife, but this is something you always wear on your belt, and you keep it, you can keep this one very sharp, and if you have to cut rope, or you have to do some first aid or something, or prepare dinner or something, this is the knife to have. You got to get one of these, and they make so many different models. You can get whichever type you like, whatever color you like. So, Mora knife. Think about that. Think about picking one of these. Okay, next up, one of the tools that Matt sent over in the box was this Ridgid wrench, and it's a 10-inch pipe wrench, and unfortunately, you can see here, there's a bend, and what happened was somebody put a cheetah pipe on here, right up to about this point, put a bend in it. And I think Matt, like everybody else, wants to see some Dake action. So what do you say? It's Mishmash Monday. Let's head over to the Dake. Okay, here we are at the Dake. And what we're going to do, you can see the setup here. Basically, we have the wrench resting on a couple blocks of wood, and we always do that to soften it. Also, if you want to protect the surface of the wrench or whatever. And we're going to bring that piston right down on the top of the bend. We'll set up the camera and get started. Okay, we're pretty happy with the way that looks over here. Now, what we'll do is we'll put our hand over here just to make sure that the wrench doesn't pop out and slide out, and keep it centered under there. And when it starts making contact, like here, I'll let you know what the pressure is. Now, coming up here, we are at 1 ton. That's 1 ton. Pressing it down. Now, you might hear some wood cracking. That's going to be common. Okay, we're coming up on 1.5 tons. You see it's starting to straighten out. You see it's straightening out. This is made, it's a malleable steel. It's made to bend before it breaks, obviously. And we're coming up on 2 tons. There we go. That's 2 tons. We'll release it. It's going to spring back a little bit, and we'll see if we have to make any adjustments on where we put the wrench again, where we put the piston. It's looking very good. Okay, we still have a little bend over here, under here. But this is all straight, so we're going to move the wood over like this so that it puts most of the pressure on this area here. And we'll try it again, and we'll give it a little bit more of a squeeze here and see if we can't get that a little bit to this end to come down a little bit. Okay? Again, you might hear the wood crack because we're going to go a little higher. We're 2.5 tons. A little bit more. And release, and we'll look at that. Okay, now you could see the we still have this little bend just a little bit here. We'll figure out how to get this wrench is bent here, and it's a very difficult place to get to because you got these 2 ears coming up. I'm going to put the step cone on here, which will pinpoint the area right here, right to this area here, and push down here, and that's about we'll try and get that. And again, we're going to put it here, positioned right there on that steel plate, and see if we can't again position it so that it's just under the part that's bent there, and we'll try and add some pressure this way. And again, this is a here we go. You see here? We'll see if we can't. Okay, and then we'll just loosen it up a little bit. You can see we're getting the bend we want, and we'll loosen it up and take a look at it. And you can see that's getting just where we want. Nice and straight. Excellent job. Okay, I'd say this one's pretty close to straight over here. You can see here. Very close. So that's a successful job on the Dake. And the only thing Matt needs to get this one is that lower jaw. And they do sell replacement jaws for these. So that lower jaw is available for the 10-inch Ridgid. Now getting back to the knife, you know my favorite part. Remember what it looked like before we started. And we're calling this project done. I guess you could see where I got the inspiration for that style of knife. You could see here. It does look like a Mora now, you know, because of the blade. But I just did the handle on that vintage wood that I had, and I think it came out real nice, matched up. Now, usually what you do is you put it all together and then you sand it, but I didn't want to sand or touch any of this or this, so I had to do it separately and then slip it on. That's on there real tight. I had to bang it on. In fact, Matt, if you're going to want to get that off, you're just going to have to unscrew this, which I will include the key here, and that fits right in there like that. You unscrew it and pop that right out, and you can see, but it's beautiful. It's so nice in the hand. I think you're gonna love it. I just cleaned up the blade a little bit. I didn't do anything crazy because I know that, you know, Matt is a scout leader, so I know he can sharpen this up, get it nice and sharp or polished the way he wants it, but I just cleaned it up. It's a beautiful knife. And, you know, here's what's interesting. You look at the back here. You see back? There's 5 notches. You see that? 5 notches. I wonder what the story is behind those notches. Wonder if that's how many deer he took or something like that. You know, like people used to do that years ago. And so anyway, I think this will be a nice little keepsake. And it's something that's strong, ready to use, and ready to go as soon as you get it. So in closing, I hope you enjoyed today's mosh. Hope you have a nice day. Take care now. Bye-bye.